Welcome to The Human Perspective. Today we're going to be interviewing another one of our guests who's here from Japan, Natsuki Soda. I'm very sorry if I pronounced her name incorrectly. I met Natsuki a couple of years ago when she was working for an organization in Japan, a government organization called JICA. And could you give us a little information about the work that you were doing with JICA at that time?
Okay, so I started working in JICA after I graduated from university, and then so I was not focused on like disability related projects because I was against the idea like you are a person with disability, so you should go to this section, something like that. So I was really working for different kind of departments. Like I was recently I was working in the Department of Africa, so I was in charge of like infrastructure projects. Yeah, roads, construction, something like that.
Which is great because, I mean, I agree with you. The fact that you have a disability doesn't mean that you should have to be doing disability work. So you had experience in JICA, and one of your jobs was work on issues around road construction.
Yes.
What made you interested in starting to do more work in disability?
I think my biggest turning point was working with Filipinos with disabilities. Back in 2012, I was doing a volunteer work in Iloilo, Philippines, for one of the strongest disabled people's organization in the Philippines. So I was working with them for 2 years. So that was really my first time to join in the disability community. And also I tried to do lots of lobbying and everything. So, and then I found it very important, and I found my passion there. So that's how I came to get involved in this community.
So, were you born with your disability?
I know I got my disability at the age of 20.
20. So what were some of the big changes for you after you acquired your disability? Were you in a car crash or?
I know it was just like my progressive disease that I found at the age of 20. So I was really shocked, but at that time, also that was when I was 20, and when I was 90, my mother was in coma for after she got like stroke. So that time I was struggling with my feelings. So at that time I was trying to hide my old shock because I don't want my father to be sad again with his family. So I was like, I'm okay, I'm going to get surgery and everything, but I think I was okay really at that time, but after I tried to find some jobs when I was a university student, my doctor told me that, I told him that I want to go for work in developing country because that was my area of interest. But he said that no, you can't. You should go for like administrative work in your hometown, something like that. You cannot go to developing countries with your physical condition. So I remember I was really crying and crying when I'm going home alone.
Right.
So that was the time I felt like, oh, this is a life of person with disabilities. Yeah, that's the
But
time.
what made you change? What made you fight against what the doctor said?
I think that my first encounter with persons with disabilities who really advocated for the right was with Mr. Shoji Nakanishi. I met him at the conference of JICA. I was interested in JICA when I was a university student, so I went to the meeting and I knew that there are some persons with disabilities who are helping other countries to grow up for their independent living movement. So I was interested in it, and also JICA was doing the project in Rwanda in Africa at that time. Then I really wanted to go far places at that time, so I decided to go to Rwanda to meet fellow persons with disabilities in Africa.
So you worked for JICA in Rwanda.
I know that time I was trying to do the research as a
Okay.
university student
I
to
see.
write a thesis. Yes.
So you've had a lot of experience A lot of international experience.
Yes, yes, I think so.
So, you left JICA.
I
Why
was-
did you leave JICA?
Because after I experienced my work at the Philippines with my colleagues, and also I came here at the time of the 80th 25th
So
anniversary.
you came to the United States
Yeah,
in
to the
2015.
States for the first time after
Mhm.
going to Africa, after going to the Philippines. I
Yeah.
finally came to the States 2 years ago. And then I thought that this is a community I really wanted to be in for the rest of my life. So I just believed that feeling. So I just decided to quit. Yes.
So what are you doing now?
Now I just started working in one of the centers for independent living in Tokyo. It's called Step Edogawa.
Mhm.
And then I just started last month. So I'm at this moment I'm not in charge of like any specific things. I think this is a time which is very important for me to just to get to know the lives of persons with disabilities, which I'm going to work with.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to get many times as much as possible to communicate with different people.
And there's a pretty large delegation
Yes.
of Japanese people here
Yes, more than
in the
80.
United States,
Yes,
more than 80.
yeah, more than 80. Yes.
And one of the groups you've worked with
Mhm.
were disabled youth.
Yes, years.
So maybe if you could just talk a little bit
Mm-mm.
about some of the issues that disabled youth
Mm-mm.
are experiencing
Mhm.
and the purpose of these disabled youth coming to the United States.
Mm-mm-mm. Okay. So the reason we organized this year's delegation this time was that at the time of the 80th 25th anniversary, our like older generation, I don't know how to call it, but like second generation, like Sato-san, Imamura-san, Shacho-san, they just took us to the States. But so we were like just participants. But we understand that it's important for us to initiate something from us, so that at the time, like they are not really taking us to the movement. We have to, the one who started the movement, and we have to create and make stronger movement, not just to maintain the movement at this time, but we have to make it stronger. So we have to that kind of connection by doing the same project like this delegation. So that was an initial objective. Yes.
So, and how has it been? You've been here now in DC for, I guess, 5-6 days.
5 or 6 days. Yes.
So, what are the youth feeling?
I think I see that they are really having fun, and also they're learning a lot. Especially, I think the atmosphere or the passion, the strong passion for the advocate for the human rights, especially. I think that was one of the topic yesterday. But we in Japan we tend to ask for the permission from older generation to do this. But at NICU conference, like the youth caucus, they do like facilitation. They just speak in front of all the people. So I think that they really encourage us to lead the movement in Japan as well. Yes.
So, what are you hoping to be contributing over the next couple of years?
Over the next couple of years, maybe over the next like 30 years or 40 years, or in my
Or
life
3 years.
personally. Because I used to be working for like West Africa, I was in charge of Burkina Faso, Niger, Benin, these 3 countries. I was in charge for a couple of years in JICA, and I saw the situation of people living there, and I really love their country. But I think we really have to reach out at that point, like for the which is called like the poorest of the poor, they call these countries. So I know that there are persons with disabilities who would like to know more about IL, would like to change their lives. I'm sure about it. So I first want to get the first-hand experiences in centers for independent living in Japan. but after that, I really want to contribute to Africa because Rwanda is my starting point, so I owe a lot to them. So that's my passion. Yes.
So I think this interview is very important because Natsuki is a person who became disabled when she was 19 or 20 years old. There was very low expectations for her, and she really had to believe in herself to be able to counteract what people were telling her, so-called professionals. And then she worked for an agency, an international organization, and had experience in some countries that have many challenges. Now she's working at one of the centers for independent living in Tokyo, where she's giving of herself, but also learning. And I think, you know, your goal of in the future being able, once you've learned more, to be able to go back and do work in Africa, I think is really important. So for those of you who are watching this, I think Natsuki is a great role model and really allows you to see that things are possible, but a lot of it really comes from your own internal motivation, which you clearly have.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for listening.